Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Someone advise me, should we take roll or should we just lunge into it? No. Okay. This committee is open to anyone. Any member of the community or really anyone can participate in this meeting. We will invite formal membership to the committee from community members. So if anybody here now wants to be a member, please contact me and we can nominate you. Or if you, especially this is for fellow commissioners, if you know anyone in the community who you think would be good for this committee, can you please recommend them or nominate them? I would welcome that. We want this committee to be as inclusive and as productive as possible. Our agenda today is really to do two things. Number one is to consider a grant application from Cleveland Park Main Street, which Hannah Blumenfeld is here to present. Thank you, Hannah. And number two, to talk about our ways of working. I've done a little bit of thinking about ways of working, and I'd just like to present it here in this meeting and get some feedback. So those are the two things, and I don't think we'll take a full hour. So hopefully you get some time back in your schedule. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to the agenda or want to comment on the agenda as I presented it? Good. Okay. So I put the grant application first so that Hannah can leave if she wants to after that. So what I'd like to do is turn it over to Hannah Blumenfeld. Hannah, can you please make an introduction, and then you're to make a presentation of the grant application.
Sure.
And well, maybe I'll talk a little bit about ways of working in the ways of working section about how we share or don't share grant applications. But for now, none of this information has been shared outside the commission. In fact, I'm not sure most of the commissioners actually have seen your application. So please don't assume any previous knowledge when you make the presentation. So without further ado, Hannah, please take over.
Understood. Thank you so much. Would you mind enabling screen sharing for me so that I can share the presentation?
Let me try to do that.
Well,
Great, thanks.
You can make her a co-host and then she should be able to share screen.
I just did that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
Wonderful. And hopefully that says Endangered Animals Art Project, Public Art in 2023. That is our project. We have three partners, the Capitol Hill Arts Workshop, which is what I'm representing, the Cleveland Park Main Street, and Woodley Park Main Street. And I think it's really important that we are working in partnership. It's part of the DNA of this project is that we work in partnership. And I'll do a quick introduction of people. I am Hannah Jacobson Blumenfeld. I'm a child contractor. I've worked with the Capitol Hill Arts Workshop for more than 12 years, and I'm serving as the project manager for this public art project. And then Cassandra Hetherington and Robert Mines are the Cleveland Park Main Street Director and Woodley Park Main Street Executive Director, respectively. So we are working closely together on this project.
The public art project is bringing endangered animals to the streets of Cleveland
Hopefully you
Park
can hear the video.
Organized by the neighborhood Main Streets and Capitol Hill Arts Workshop, the project will install 10 sculptures of local animals on lampposts in between the neighborhood metro stations. The organizers plan on hosting events around the pieces throughout the year to build community, highlight the neighborhood's connection to the National Zoo, and raise awareness of DC's at-risk animals. Read more about the project at The Wash.
So we've already had some press on the project, and that was a quick capsule overview of the work that we're doing. You can see actually on this first slide, as you can see the this little animal here, the Hayes Spring Arthropod, is our mascot. It is actually our extremely highly local endangered animal. It is an animal in Rock Creek Park. It's a slightly shrimp-like creature, and you can see that sometimes the animals are a bit whimsical, sometimes they're a little fanciful, sometimes they look just like they do in real life, and that's part of the point of this project. I am going to take you on a little bit of a an overview of the Alphabet Animals project, because this is really an expansion of a project that's been going on. It started in 2011, but the first animals were installed in 2014, and I was the project manager for the Capitol Hill Alphabet Animal Art Project, which is the originator of this idea of putting sculptures on street signs all over the district. Originally, the idea came from a father who was walking around with his two kids in Capitol Hill, and he was explaining the streets. K is for kangaroo, E is for elephant. Look, we're on A Street. A is for ant. And he thought it was such a fun idea that he was teaching his kids the alphabet through the street names and through the animals, that he brought the idea to CHA. We thought it was a fantastic idea, and we decided to start to try to figure out how we could make it happen. The original project was in close collaboration with the DC Department of Transportation. So as I mentioned, partnership is really part of the DNA of this project. DDOT was always a big part of how we installed the sculptures, how we figured out how they could be safe, the weight, the materials, how we place them on the street signs, which street signs we place them on. So we've learned a ton over the past 10 plus years about how to do this project in a really effective, efficient, and partnered way that makes them really safe, really effective, and makes them last. All of the original sculptures are still up, and while they are weathered, that's part of the joy of public art and part of the joy of working with artists to figure out what are the materials that are going to stay. So the beginnings, you can see that the numbers here are the 10 original animal sculptures. They were all around Capitol Hill, generally in the Eastern Market area, and they formed a little walking path. That was always a really important part of this for us as well, that the idea is that people would have the opportunity to find them in the wild, as it were, that they would walk around and have this little whimsical sculpture that would pop up and be this surprising and really joyful piece of art in their days and in their lives. And we've heard since then that people often walk around and will say, oh, I know that street because that's the cat street. I didn't know it was part of something bigger. And that's the fun of it, is that some people know that there are 20 of them now, and some people just know their street because it has the sneaky cat, and both are really fun. So these are the 10 new sculptures that went up in 2020. Obviously, it was an interesting time to be working on an art project, but one of the great things is that because they're outside, it was still safe for people to be able to appreciate them, walk around, see them, have them be a part of their neighborhood. So we've activated these sculptures in all kinds of ways, including fun runs and walks and trick-or-treating at the animals with the artists there. So the idea is that these are real pieces of art. These are local artists who are creating with their expertise, their skill. They are bringing really fine art, but they're also bringing whimsy and joy. And I have to say, I'm obviously biased. I love this project, but I've never met anyone who hasn't just burst into a smile about them. They're really happy, and people find that they resonate with them in different ways, which is really fun. So here's a peek at just some of the animals. There's the sneaky cat I was mentioning, the grasshopper, which has become an integral part of that street sign right across the street from the Capitol Hill Arts Workshop, a bumblebee, a dinosaur, an anteater right across the street from an ant, a bunny, a butterfly, and there's that dog leaping through a ring of fire. So lots of really fun sculptures, and they're all really different. As I mentioned before, not all of them are made of the same materials, not all of them are the same colors, very different kinds of sculptures. We have a number of local press articles that you're welcome to check out. I'm happy to send those along if you're interested in taking a look at some of the links. We've been covered in the post several times, and the reception has just been really wonderful from neighbors. So This project is, again, an expansion of that original Alphabet Animals project, bringing all the expertise and partnerships from that original project. So this has a really trusted base in what we know and how we know how to do this. But the new project will be really fun and really specific, we think, to the new neighborhood that we're bringing it to. It will be endangered animals to bring awareness to this really serious issue and to grow the scope of the project to a new neighborhood in an authentic way. These will be all up and down Connecticut between the Woodley Park Metro and the Cleveland Park Metro. So it doesn't make so much sense to do an alphabet there since they're all on one big street, but it does make sense to link this to the fact that Rock Creek Park is there, the fact that the zoo is there, that animals really do make sense in that space. There's a great walking path that's a real pedestrian thoroughfare, so it'll be a place where people can really look up and see them. We have selected the street posts, and they're approximately one every other block. So again, it's a really nice wayfinding device that you can tell someone, I'll meet you at the Hayes Spring. I would love for everyone to know the name of that animal. In fact, that would be a real win for this project. So again, this would really be an ideal project for this particular community, and we really wanted to be specific about the way that we planned it. So what will this look like? Each lamppost will have a unique endangered animal attached to it. There will be 10 in this project, and each one will also have a QR code that's printed on a weather-resistant decal that DDOT has in the past helped us with. So it is, again, it's totally permissible and and we would have permits for all of these as well. So the QR code would provide information for the name of the artist, a brief bio, information about the sculpture, including the materials and the way that the artist conceptualized it, information about the animal, and any sponsor information if that's applicable. I mentioned before that we've done a lot of community activations around the original Alphabet Animals, and we would plan to do the same here, including a new map that has them on it, fun runs and walks, trick-or-treating, maybe having a passport, definitely online engagement. We've always talked about more cherry blossom season interaction and anything that the community has in mind. I think it's really important that communities know themselves best and they know their own desires and people and what people want to see. So we're really open to how we activate these. Again, this is the Hay Spring Amphipod, the project mascot, and you can see this is a pretty well-known, it's in Prince of Petworth. We've got a lot of press going on around this little creature right now. And so you can see a sort of more traditional rendering of it on the left, and then on the right is our lead artist, Carolina Mayorga's rendering, and she's been an artist on both of the previous projects, so she will be leading us here. Here is a breakdown of costs. It's actually going to be slightly less expensive than this. We've managed to shave off a little bit of cost, but the basic amount is $15,000 for project management, $40,000 for the animals, including honoraria for the artists and materials fees, and $5,000 for marketing, events, and admin. Then a few little pieces of information about sponsorship, which I'm going to skip for this particular purpose, but knowing that we want to partner with businesses and want to make sure that we are also including them in how we're thinking about this project. So then here's a timeline. We met with all the constituents, began planning last year in September. In October, we determined the location for the sculptures. February through hopefully next month, we will gather some letters of support. This coming month, we'll also apply for the permits. And we have our artist selection set up for early next month. So they will be ready to go to apply for the DC Commission on Arts and Humanities grant, which will form hopefully the basis of the main portion of our funding. Art production will occur during the summer, and then in the fall, we will hopefully install. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to chat now. I have my email, my phone number on here, and I'm always happy to connect afterwards. And that's all I have for today and happy to answer questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everyone.
That's fantastic, Hannah. Thank you so much. Just so everyone knows that the grant application is for $5,000. So that's the contribution being asked from the ANC towards this project. And what I'd like to do is open to the floor for questions or comments on the application or on the project. I think I'm meant to privilege commissioners first. So do any commissioners have any questions of Hannah about the project? Swale, I see, sorry, Commissioner Siddiqui, I see you first.
Oh no, Swale's fine. First, thank you so much for this, Hannah. This was fantastic, and I mean, it's really cool what you're doing. And our ANC, actually led by Commissioner Paggett, actually wrote a resolution in support of this last fall. So so we're very excited to support this. I guess one question I have is, and this is mostly just to try and help you through this process, is as an ANC, we're only allowed to spend money on certain things, and there's sort of just so I guess one question is, and I'm sorry if I missed this, but what, like, if we give a grant for $5,000, I think, and Commissioner Paggett probably knows better than I do, but I think we just have to outline how you're going to spend that money. So we just can't. I don't think, and again, Commissioner Paggett can correct me when she goes next. I don't think we can just give the $5,000. But we need to outline specifically what to do. And we've done this in different ways in the past. So for example, when we supported the Ward 3 food pantry, or Ward 3 mutual aid, like we supported some of their operations or some of the stuff they needed. So there's a lot of leeway for what we can do, but do you have any idea or like thoughts about how you might spend that money? And Commissioner Paggett, actually, why don't you go first, Commissioner Paggett, since you have more detail.
Yeah, they did fill out the application form. It just wasn't shared with the entire commission. So we have the form that outlines all these details like we have done in the past.
Okay.
So
should
yeah,
we just discuss that now, or would you rather us discuss that later?
we can discuss it now if you want.
I mean, sure. I guess, Hannah, if it's easy, maybe you can just tell us and then, just go through it.
I'm just pulling up the application. I'm sorry, I didn't have it in front of me, but I'm pulling it up now. If someone else has it pulled up, you're welcome to hop in with that info.
I'm sorry. We can also go to other questions. I didn't mean to derail us.
No, not at all. I really appreciate the question. And I'm just, so I believe that we are basically just asking the ANC for $5,000 to help cover the materials fee for the sculptures. That way it's really specific to the materials that will be in your ANC, and it will directly impact people who are in your districts. That's my understanding.
Thank you. And who is the vendor who we're giving these materials to? Like, if you give us a receipt for the 5,000, who would that be?
So it will depend. Each of the artists will get essentially, they'll get money they'll get $750 to purchase their own materials. So the idea is that they are local artists who will most likely purchase these materials locally, but we don't buy the materials for the artists, especially because each of them works in different mediums.
I see. So the money's going to go to the artist specifically.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt? And I think I have a point of information here, which is that the application is from the Cleveland Park Main Street. And I think the grant itself would go to the Main Street which will then make it as a contribution to the project. That's my understanding of the grant application. I don't think the application specified within the project what the money would be for specifically within the project, although I could be wrong about that. I did read it a while ago. So so I think the grant was made by and requested by the Cleveland Park Main Street as a contribution to this project, and I think it would be then transmitted as a pass through to the project. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll let Commissioner Pagets go since she's had her hand up and she might have more information on the best way to do this. But I think that's just one thing we'll just have to verify and figure out the best way to do that transfer.
Commissioner Siddiqui is a treasurer, so it matters. He's interested in the
Understood.
actual transaction. Yeah. Commissioner Pagets, do you want to say anything here, or should I open it to the floor?
Oh, no, I did have questions. I was wondering if when you guys put the ones up in Capitol Hill, were they in a historic district?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe so. Yes, because Eastern Market is a historic district. So I do believe there were some there.
Yeah,
We
looking at
didn't have any
that,
problem.
it looked like there might have been some. I just wanted to make sure, because it would be good to have that precedent. Additionally, with Connecticut Avenue, several things are of note of that general roadway and the ways that it operates under federal codes and whatnot. Did you have a conversation with like DDOT at all about if this would be an issue running into any rules with that?
I did. They
Okay.
seemed to think that it was going to be okay, and I certainly hope that it will be. You know, these projects are always they sometimes require more than one conversation, but I have had one, and we've had some email conversation about it with the contact that I've been working with for the past few projects.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
My concern is like if we run into having to go in front of the Commission of Fine Arts or NCPC review, it just adds some more, time and expense too.
It does. The DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities Public Art Grant, as far as I understand, actually requires going before the Commission on Fine Art. So we did it the last time as well, and we're able to just put together a packet, and they didn't require us to come in at all. So,
oh, okay, cool. Even better.
Yes, we sent it in, they approved it, and we were off to the races. So we're hopeful that it will be similarly smooth this time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Those are really important questions.
I'd like to open it to other questions. Any other comments or questions? I have one myself, but let me see if anybody else wants to go. I don't see any hands up. Speak up if you want. Okay, a question I have is scale. Like the current project is for 10, which it's actually like, I don't know how long it is. It's at least a half mile linear. So 10 spread out a half mile isn't really that many. It's to my mind. And you have like 2 million visitors to the zoo a year. A lot of them coming from Metro and walking along Connecticut Avenue. I think this is going to be a really nice feature, something that parents can tell their kids to look for as they're walking to the zoo or walking away, stuff like that. I really love it. But I want more because I kind of want one on every street post. So to keep people's attention and so forth. So my question is, how scalable? Like with this, if somehow we found more money at some future point or something, like how easy is it to expand it if like next year or the year after or something?
I think that that's one of the best parts about this project, that as long as there are street signs and interested artists, it's just an incredibly scalable project. We've already demonstrated that, taking the first 10 and then doing another 10 in the Capitol Hill neighborhood that expanded it out. It brought it to new streets, but it was all part of the same project base. And once you have artists who know how to do it, or because we have the experience, we have so many more answers than we did the very first time we did this about what kinds of materials work, the weight that it can be, the number of holes that you need to have in it so that the wind comes through in a safe way. We just have a lot of that information right at our fingertips. So it makes it really easy if we have the money to go ahead and usually, I mean, the biggest expense is paying for artists, materials, and their time. And so often that means also writing a grant for the commission, but all of that again is really in our wheelhouse. So I think that really one of the best parts of the project is that if people love it and they want to do it and they're up for that fundraising job to make sure that it does expand in their neighborhood, then it is something we can hit the ground running on.
Great. I have Commissioner Gordon, I see you, so you're next, but let me just follow up. I have noted that there's already been community support for the project. I believe the Cleveland Park Community Association pledged to match funding from residents, which is great. It's number one, it's a sign of local interest and commitment, and also maybe it raises money. Actually, so that's my question is, do you have any report on how much has been raised thus far from like small donations or anything? And the second thing is, and sorry, it's all related. It does seem like the project is sort of contingent on getting this grant. And what if you don't get it? Yeah.
Well, so those, let me start with.
Sorry, I didn't mean our grant. I meant the bigger grant.
No,
I
understand. Yes, that is. I'll start with that. So that grant would be for probably $30,000 to $35,000. It's doable to raise that, not with that grant, but harder. So my sense is that it would extend the timeline. It wouldn't necessarily prevent us from doing the project. So I'll say that. Art is often like this. We need grants to do the work, but I will say that we have plans to, because for the commission grant requires that you send in actual sketches, and that means that the artists will need to put in some work before we actually have the grant. So we do have plans and set-asides to pay them for their time if we don't get the grant. So I just want to be clear about that at the very least, we will pay artists for their time no matter what. I also really believe that given that we've gotten this grant before for this project, I think we have a really good chance at it. I think that the artists we work with, those sketches make such a big difference, and that the project itself is just it's a really strong application. But you are correct that, of course, we can't guarantee that. It's a panel process for the commission. So whoever's on the panel makes that decision. And I will say, certainly if there's a lot of community support, if we're able to raise the money, we'll do the project.
Okay, thanks for that. Commissioner Gordon, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of like building on your sort of plus up kind of idea of this. I mean, obviously, like it makes a lot of sense and is very important if we get the major grant. But I think I was just kind of thinking through, like, my streets in my district are so in support of this, but just in general, like public art, bringing that to Cleveland Park, that I would just love to put on the table for discussion, that like if streets or particular businesses wanted to sponsor an additional, animal on a street sign kind of thing, I would just like to put that on the table for like future design or consideration, because that's something that surfaced that my constituents have asked me, like, can we do one on our street? If our street's not picked, could we like raise the money on our street to add one, and that kind of thing. And so it sounds like the answer to that is yes, but I just wanted to surface that here.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. It makes me feel so happy to know that people are so excited to have public art in their neighborhoods. That is awesome. I think that's totally on the table, and certainly something that we should keep talking about, and
Yeah.
certainly as they go up. One of the best things about the project that I really love is that the installation is such a community oriented piece of this as well. we often had a ton of engagement with people as DDOT was installing the sculptures. It's a really fun thing to watch. So it's not just when they're up, it's also just the whole process of it. So I think that too will help to drive some more of this engagement. And I think it's an awesome idea, and I'm not even going to call it a problem to have if we want more public art. That's a great opportunity.
No, not a problem. And I think like I'm like essentially like Macomb through like sort of Porter and Quebec, but in particular Ordway and Macomb. Like I think like we would want to do like, I don't know, some like fun neighborhood activations around that going in. Like that's something that's really important to us. So
Totally.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just mention that definitely at least I feel pretty confident that at least one of those, Ordway will have one for this first project.
Listen, I'll lobby you separately, but Ordway has a animal mascot already, and we would really love that to be on Ordway.
Okay, please email me.
Thanks, you.
Okay.
Thanks so much. This is great.
Sorry, I know Tammy came a little bit late and might have missed the part in the deck where I thought there was the option to purchase one for $5,000 and then your name gets on the little messaging around it.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I did join late. Appreciate that.
No problem. Yes, businesses can sponsor them now. That would be fantastic. We always love more support in that way. So if there's a business that wants to sponsor immediately, that is absolutely an option, and you can be in touch with me, or they can be in touch with me, and we can go from there.
Businesses include condo associations too.
Oh yes.
Did you have any sponsors for the Capitol Hill project?
So we ended up having sponsors for an event that we did, kind of our big opening event for them. We had sponsor tables at each one of them. So there was an artist and a business sponsor at each of them. It was really cool and really fun. It was a great way to connect the artists directly with the businesses, and people went around and had to visit each of the business tables essentially. So that was how we did it at that time. But we're certainly, if a business wants to sponsor the animal, then there's a bit more of a name opportunity in the actual
Yeah, it goes on
code.
it goes. So the Capitol Hill one doesn't have the QR code where you have a sponsor on the QR code. Is that right?
They do have the QR codes, but they don't have specific sponsors.
Okay.
They include, though, anyone who provided a grant. So, for example, we would thank you all if we were able to get this grant in that QR code as well.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the participants here? I don't see any. Oh, Commissioner Siddiqui, I see you.
Yeah. Hannah, are you a resident of ANC 3C?
No, I live in Ward 2.
Okay. I mean, this is not a necessity, but I was just wondering. I guess one thing, commissioners, would be great before we leave today is just to figure out who would write the resolution. I mean, it seems any of us can. So I'm happy to help with that if we don't have, whoever decides or whatever. I guess one more sort of question / advice, Hannah, if you know which DC agencies you need to go to, right? So I think you mentioned the Commission of Fine Arts, and then it might be like Commissioner Packett's brought up, like, I don't know if you have to go to HPRB and DDOT and stuff. Okay, good. I mean, one of the things is like, whoever you need to go to, it's a good thing to tell us, because we can put that in our resolution to like for specific agencies and what they're looking for. And I'm trying to think, and I guess, I don't know. I mean, again, Commissioner Paggett has probably the most experience with stuff like this. I guess one thing we'll have to do is just figure out if we can give the money to Main Street, what kind of documentation we'll need from them to be able to give this grant and stuff. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an issue. We just need to, just have to figure that out.
Yeah, we have the whole packet of good hands, clean hands, and the form. So that should clear it.
Okay, so we should still check with OAMC, right? Like, okay, cool.
Okay, I will I'll volunteer to draft at least do the first draft of the resolution. I don't think I see any other questions or speakers. So Hannah, you're welcome to stay on, but you also can leave. And I think, thank you very much. And I think it was a very good presentation. I'm very impressed that you made your video actually work on Zoom.
Thank
It
you.
might be a first for me. And that's it. So thanks again. And I expect that we'll be drafting a resolution. I presume that we'll pass it. I can't see why we wouldn't, but then again, one never knows. But yeah. Oh, sorry, final question.
Sure.
If everything goes according to plan, when are these things up?
This fall. So hopefully by around November. The part of it has to do with the DC Commission grant cycle, which for this year, we wouldn't get any of the distribution until September, October time. So probably around then would be, I would say, best to plan for maybe October, November would be a good time to plan for them to be up. And hopefully that means that you can do some holiday activations and other New Year types of things, and then have them totally up and ready by cherry blossom season. So it should hit some nice milestones there. So that's that. And I wanted to just let you know quickly, I put in the chat DDOT, DC Commission, and the Commission on Fine Arts, which are the three agencies that we will have to be putting this in front of, just so that you have that info.
That's helpful. And also, I presume you're willing to share the PowerPoint that you
Sure,
passed around.
I'm happy to do that. Yep, I'll send it as a PDF. Can I just email it to you?
That's
in
fine.
the thread we were on? Okay, perfect.
Okay, so I promised you a short meeting, but I do want to take a few minutes with our time just to talk about ways of working. I'm new here, so I'm still learning, and Commissioner Pagets was the chair last cycle, so she can comment on things. I have a few observations. One is we have about $12,000 budgeted this year for grants. So this will be a big chunk of our grant budget this year. But there aren't many people that know about the ANC grant function. So I do think that local organizations and so forth, that we should do some outreach for likely projects for any kind of grants. My observation, having gone through this now once, is that the process is a little bit cumbersome for the applicant. The Google form and is not great. So I'd like to, working with others, to think about ways to make it better and streamline it. Another question is having, this is my first time through it, so I would like to be able to share an application as appropriate, and like to consult with Commissioner Pagets on how we can do that. I think there is potentially some information in the application that is private or non-public, and so maybe we can create a form where some parts of it are non-shareable and then other parts are shareable. But I do feel like the application itself should be publicly available, or at least some portion of it. And then in terms of ways of working, I just want to mention that the plan is to meet the last Tuesday of the month so that we can have whatever work we need to do prepare ready for the full commission meeting in the following month. And the plan is to have all commissioners as members, but I'll take submissions for membership on this committee. So I'd invite anybody to self-nominate or to work with your ANC SMD member to get a nomination onto this committee. I'd welcome others. The committee is named Grants, which I think is its first and primary purpose, but also community outreach. And I'm interested in having a discussion about community outreach and how our ANC commission can do better in terms of community outreach and community engagement. So this isn't a decision-making or operational body, but I think it is potentially a forum for us to talk about how to do better on those counts. So those are things I wanted to mention and bring up here, and I would invite comment or ideas or questions from anybody. So let me stop there And anybody want to say anything here? I see Commissioner Gordon. Sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Gordon, and then Commissioner Packets.
Yep, just real quick, I think this is I mean, that's a great point to make. And if you don't mind, if you wouldn't mind sharing like a little blurb about the committee and joining it, I am happy to send that around to like listservs and like my social media, try to recruit more people, because I think it's such an interesting and impactful place to spend time. So I'd love to recruit more people from my SMD. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Packets, you want to go?
Yeah, the output on the form is shareable with the commission and the community. It's just the financials of the organization. If that was attached, like that, we don't have to share. And then the other attachments of good hands. Also, I don't know, like streamlining it is going to be a bit impossible due to the requirements of the Office of Neighborhood Commissioners, because the form is what they're asking of us to legally use the district money. So maybe the Google form isn't like the input, but all of those questions need answers to them.
Yeah, no, of course we need to get adequate information, and there will be requirements for it. I just in this case, I felt like the process, I mean, the form, I never received the form until a month after it was submitted. Anyway, I think it's something to work out within the administrators and of our website and so forth, but I want to make sure it works well. And I want to review some of the language on our website about grants, which again, there are requirements that we have to meet, but also I want to, there are some obsolete references there that I want to try to take care of. Commissioner Siddiqui, I see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to second not to take any information out of the form, only because, you know, we get asked for random things from Office of ANC and like all this stuff, and it's always good to have all that information. But I mean, if you have suggestions that we can, or if anyone, I mean, anyone has suggestions to make this better, that as long as we collect all the information, I think that's good. And yeah, I also just want to second Commissioner Paggett's suggestion. Like, I think if before the meeting we could get the applications, the public part of the details, that'd be great.
Yes, that's right. For my part, I'll make an effort to review and present a package of information that's usable. Although the presentation is probably more interesting and usable, but the application itself should be shared and would have solved some confusion on this call. Anything else about ways of working, and in particular, any comments about community engagement and how the commission should approach community engagement? Anything different or new from what we've done in the past?
So I'll just say that's a great idea. I mean, I think if especially like I don't know, like, if you have ideas and stuff, I think that'd be great. I mean, I agree. I think the more we can do it, the better. The more, like you said, we let people know about this opportunity. Like, we have so much money and we have to make sure that we, like, are supporting the community. So I totally agree with you. As many ideas, as many energy, that'd be great.
Commissioner Pagas?
I know there's a number of other commissions that have like tablecloths and swag and stuff and go to and sit at the farmers market like on a regular basis in their communities every week, so that it's, a commissioner at the table at the market identifying ourselves as this body, talking to the community members and just, handing out water bottles or whatever we want to do. But I think that's something we should really look into, because it's like low hanging fruit. We have several farmers, the farmers markets here. Or if there's festivals, or if there's art all night, like, let's invest in like some of that kind of stuff so that folks are coming up to us and engaging, and we can further on the conversation with them to hopefully get them to attend committees, or to sign up for committees, to attend meetings, to just input on general community projects. I think that that's easy and fun. So that I
Great.
think we should be, looking to use the budget on, or looking to use money from the budget on.
Okay. I like that. Commissioner Gordon, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just like as we kind of think about like what's the iteration or the future state of like what was the service lane, kind of just thinking through, is there a place there where we can, kind of make this like third space where neighbors kind of hang out and get information. And that's kind of, I sort of assume based on the conversations I've had and the trajectory that perhaps the farmer's market ends up there. Like maybe there's a place where we can, put up information and share information, and maybe that becomes kind of the home base where there's either a pop-up or a desk or something that we like pass out swag and like, show up to each week so that we're out there in the community, but people know where they can find us and know where they can find information. Obviously that's probably longer term and like not really sure what that is, but it seems like an ideal time to have that discussion, considering we're trying to figure out like what that looks like ahead.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. A little Exclude the Park heavy. We need to do something for
Yeah.
Woody Park, but
Well,
one
Agreed.
So go ahead.
Legally, by law, if we were to do that, we have to find 4 spaces in each SMD to have that kind of engagement. Otherwise,
Say it again.
we need to find 4 conspicuous public spaces accessible that in each single member district to do that kind of engagement.
Wait, is that a minimum requirement?
That's bizarre.
That's the notice requirement. If we were
Right,
to
but this
paper
wouldn't be
notices,
for,
I
this
think
wouldn't be for, wouldn't be
well,
for
I think
notice, right?
if we were setting up a place like a posting for information, it couldn't just be in Cleveland Park at the service lane. Like we
Well,
would,
I'm not saying that it necessarily has to be in one place or Cleveland Park in the service lane, but it just seems like 4 plate, like, I don't know, my
Right. I mean-
MD is not exactly large. And so like finding 4 conspicuous places would be very random. And I have Cleveland Park Main Street in mind.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna use that to fulfill our notice requirement, right? Like this would just be an additional thing. So I mean, if we're using it to fulfill notice requirements,
There.
then yeah, I
That sounds a
agree.
bit odd.
Yeah.
Okay. These are good ideas. I want to continue this conversation. I mean, just to mention that we do hear, from constituents, I mean, this is kind of our thing, that when issues come up, I never heard about it, or how come, I didn't hear about things. And so I don't give too much credence for that, because we do pretty good about notice, but maybe we can do better. And the point, and so the question I want to offer for us to think about is, are there strategies that we're not pursuing or that we should pursue in terms of outreach to our community, so that they don't feel like things are happening that they don't know about, or complaining about that? Is there something we're missing? So we don't need to try to answer that here, but I want to keep raising that. And Commissioner Pagets shared that there are some centralized resources towards developing communication strategies and stuff that we might be able to pursue, which from Office of ANC. So with everyone else's support, I might want to try to do that. Okay, I see people falling off, so I think I will close this. Any last comments from anyone?
Gwen, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Hi, this is Mary Ann Steiner from Woodland Normanstone. And we learned about this from you. We had no idea. And one thought I have for outreach is that all the community and neighborhood associations are the ones thinking about initiatives for their communities. And that's a very direct route to at least let those of us know about it, for starters. It's just much more direct than public notices, which are all good and fine. But we really appreciate it, and we're very interested in this related to some of our projects. So it's just.
That's great. Thanks for the comment, and I appreciate the point. Did I hear someone else want to come in? Okay, with that, thank you all for your attendance, and I think it was a really good meeting. It was really nice to talk to you. I've got some good ideas here, and I think we have a good grant to make. And with that, I will close it. Thank you, everyone. Have a good, what is it, Tuesday. Good night.
Thanks, Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
Thank you.